Hey everybody, welcome back to Choices Not Chances, and I have another good one for you today. Today we're talking to a retired First Sergeant Aubrey Wrenn of the United States Marine Corps. He was retired from the First Sergeant. He's in Danville, Virginia, and is the owner of Proven Valor Solutions, a coaching and consulting company and training development company that also provides digital marketing solutions through Google Business Profile and Google Ad services. He's a little bit different. We haven't had a cannoneer, a field artillery cannoneer on the show before, so we're going to talk a bit about that and that path. He has 3 combat deployments and then multiple other deployments, including a UDP to Okinawa, Japan, and some other things. He also served in many different climates, many different positions, many different billets along his time, and including chief instructor at Combat Instructor School. He also has some things that happened towards the end of his career and some controversial things that we'll talk about as far as getting out. And we talked about it a bit offline, and it's things that need to be aired out, things that need to be said in order for good camaraderie and good climate for the command to keep. And a lot of people don't know how a bad climate can affect a Marine at the lower levels of a command, and Aubrey's one of those people who does know that and knows the extent to which that can kind of decay camaraderie and decay the unity of command within a unit. So with that being said, we'll bring it in. Aubrey, thanks for joining me. I know I've been wanting to get you on ever since I talked to Jeff Sabins a while ago, and he had some things to say about you, all good things, and somebody that I wanted to get on. So I appreciate you taking your time, especially on a Saturday morning, to link up with me and just have a little chat.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored. Thank you for this opportunity to come on and talk to you and your viewers and everybody and answer some questions, and hopefully I can provide some insight and improve people's lives in one way or another by doing this. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man, and I'm looking forward to it too. It's on your last portion of your bio, kind of struck me because it's exactly the way I am, and I've never voiced it, but it says you're dedicated to influencing positive change and effectiveness, culture, and the climate of organizations that you're a part of by offering perspective, emotional intelligence, and support to those who you have been privileged to work with. And I appreciate that because that is an authentic response or an authentic comment for somebody to put on a bio that I've never seen on a bio before. But that's something that you've done at multiple units, and we're going to get into it now, but I want to start at the beginning. So if we're in the beginning, I want to know kind of where you come from and who you come from, geographically where you come from, and then kind of like your 0 to 12 life. What was life like, as early as you can remember, and then all the way up through kind of your call to service when you come into the Marine Corps.
Okay. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I was born in Virginia, grew up in Virginia. I was born in Newport News.
Okay.
Um, and I grew up in Danville, Virginia. So it's like right on the North Carolina, Virginia border, South Central VA, right
Mm-hmm.
there in the middle. Um, I came from a single parent home. My mom and dad split when I was about 3 months old. And then later on in life, my mom remarried, had 2 siblings, a brother and a sister. So I'm my oldest of 3. Um,
Check.
living in different. It's a different environment than you would expect someone of my demographic to be from. Like right across the street from a housing project, pretty much my entire life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So um, yes, definitely some financial struggles didn't come from, they say come from humble means. You've heard that term a lot. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say that definitely, um, learn the value of hard work and good work ethic early on in life. Definitely, spent a lot of time with my grandparents and them taking care of me in and out. Not to say that I didn't live with my mom. I always lived with my mom, but I stayed a lot with my grandparents, and I would see my dad, periodically throughout, spend summers with him and stuff like that. So that was kind of my life growing up. Um, you know,
You had siblings?
I did. I have a brother and a sister that are both younger than me. Both of them live in North Carolina. So,
Okay.
um, and I don't really talk to either one of them. I haven't talked to them in years,
Okay.
oddly enough. So we're estranged. When I divorced from my ex-wife, for whatever reason, they stopped talking to me. So I was like, okay, like that's, and we'll get into like kind of my whole mindset and like why that, it's like I'm okay with that. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
choices, right? Not
Choices.
chances.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right.
So,
What about religion in the early lives? Was there religion growing up
yeah, so I
in the
grew up
household?
Baptist, in a Baptist church. Like I said, my grandparents, I
Yep.
spent a lot of time with them, and that was, they used to go to church every Sunday. So we would go to church. I would go to church with them. So grew up. Faith has always been a big part of my life and spirituality. And I don't go to church now. I definitely pray. I definitely
Mm.
talk to God regularly. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe, it's different. It's weird, like growing up, um, not really understanding, how fate works or how, God's plan works and all these different things. But, through the Marine Corps, I've grown to be a fatalist, which means basically you don't get to choose when or where or how you go. You just go, right? And you have no control over that. And we can get into that too if you want. But yeah, I definitely had a lot of spiritual, you know, closeness and a spiritual relationship with God and practicing Christian, I guess you would say.
And you still do. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm very much the same way. And some people might not like this, and I don't really care. But so, like
Yeah.
growing up, I was always in the church, like
Hmm.
Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, youth group, vacation, Bible study, the whole thing.
Right.
And I have no problem with it. I think that it's great.
Hmm.
However, there gets to be a point in my like teen where things didn't make sense to me. The judgment didn't make sense to me. How do you tell me we're not supposed to judge, and then you judge me for the jeans I wear when I walk in church, or for the things
Yeah.
I eat, or because you see me at a rodeo doing something crazy that my parents might not know about, right? Because that's
Yeah.
what happened to me. And it's
Hmm.
like those same people in my life, those people that were doing those judgments were 350 pounds,
Yeah.
telling me that my dip in my lip is going to destroy the temple of God. And it's like, you're going to die of high cholesterol far before this nicotine eats me up. And
Yeah.
so, like, if it really is about destroying the temple of God, then I think there's a two-way street right here. And that's when
Hmm.
it started to, like, not make sense to me as far as, like, the pillars of the church being judgmental. And it's like that goes against the things that you say and speak. And,
Hmm.
well, then, I go off to the Marine Corps a couple years later, and, that kind of is wild. My life is wild, but I always had faith. I always prayed. I
Yeah.
always had an individual relationship with God, which is what I think that's the way I do it.
Hmm.
In the Bible, it says where two or more gather and speak the name of God in the gospel, then that is church. And so this
Hmm.
is church
Yeah.
according to that. And so, yeah, and anyway, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out process, but my faith was reestablished probably rock solid in war when I
Hmm.
seen things I couldn't control, kind of
Yeah.
the fatalist view of how did all of us just come through that unscathed, and then however many days later somebody gets hit with an errant round from nowhere.
Yeah.
How does that happen, right? So
An
there's tons,
ID,
or
something.
an IED laden in the middle of the desert for no
Hmm.
reason.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like, okay, yeah. I just I wanted to say that because I think there's a lot of people out there probably who feel some sort of way because they don't go to an institution to
Hmm.
pray. And I don't think you should feel any sort of way about
No.
that. You have an individual relationship with God, a lot of times would be stronger than somebody's obligatory relationship with God.
Right, and there's no financial obligation either when it comes to that, And
Right.
there's a lot of publicity now. There's been a lot of stuff about mega churches and like
Yep.
nobody trusts. The religion is corrupt, just
Yep.
like a lot of government is corrupt, and organized religion, I would say,
Yeah.
because man created religion and God created spirituality and relationship with us. So
Absolutely.
what do you
Cool.
think is gonna what's gonna come from that? But yeah, that's my take on religion, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I could probably talk about religion and the things that I don't understand
Yeah.
for hours and hours. So I am no expert. I am no authority whatsoever.
Right.
When I got my degree, I took a handful, several
Hmm.
theology classes, trying to understand more because I
Yeah.
want to understand. Some things I don't think we're meant to understand all the way. Got
No.
to have faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So you have faith in the house.
Hmm.
At least you have it. It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
foundation. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't even start with it and have to find it
Hmm.
later. So, um, and you have two siblings.
Yeah.
You say you're estranged. At what point you said that happened later in life? So we can kind of
Right.
we can get to that later in life. Um, did you play sports, organized sports, or no?
I played a little bit. Like I played t-ball, played some soccer, like in junior high school, middle school, stuff like that. I didn't. I wanted to play football. I had ideas of playing football, but poor life choices got in the way of that. And I had my
Mm-hmm.
first kid when I was 16, so
Get
that kind
some.
of that kind of threw a wrench in everything. No
Yeah,
more,
that
no
changes
more
things.
football stuff, right? And that, right? That's one of the catalysts. I've growing up where I grew up, you being exposed to a lot of different things. Like you talk about going to a rodeo and doing all these different things. Well, you know, drugs and alcohol and, selling drugs and hustling and doing things, that was a way that, um, I found like, all right, well, if we have all these different issues with making ends meet and paying bills, so like not having a typical, you know,
Mm-hmm.
growing up experience or childhood from for one reason or another, right? Whether it be a lot of single parent home there, so that's not typical, or it's not atypical, I should say. But you know, having younger siblings or trying to basically be the man of the house or someone who feels obligated to make things happen early
Mm-hmm.
in life, right? And that kind of when you find yourself like away from that and not feeling like you have to do that, you make poor life choices because like the pendulum swung the other way. It's like now I
Mm-hmm.
have no responsibility, but yet I feel like I'm, an adult. I feel like I'm grown. I'm grown up because I'm doing all these things that none of my friends are doing. Nobody my age is out there working or trying to find jobs or doing things that they shouldn't be doing to try to make
Mm-hmm.
ends meet. So so yeah, I ended up having a kid at 16, and that was a catalyst that kind of ended my childhood abruptly and was like,
Sure.
okay, now you got to start making adult decisions and figuring things out. So
What was what was the thoughts and emotions when you found out that was coming?
um, it was definitely like, okay, where do you start, right? Like,
That's what I'm
what's the
asking.
yeah, like where do you start? Like, all right, well, I need to find a job. I need to make money now. And it was like, okay, I keep doing what I used to do or what I knew how to do, or I could actually try and get a legit job and try and so I was basically going around trying to find applying to everywhere I could, while I'm still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up it took me a while, but I ended up getting a job working at McDonald's, and again, like I will say, like I when I know there's something, I'll grind, I'll suffer, I'll do
Mm-hmm.
whatever it takes, and that's what I ended up doing. And then 17, 18 years old, I got a job working in a textile mill. It was like, all right, work at McDonald's as long as you can, and then try to get a job that makes more money. So my hometown, there was a huge textile mill there, and
Now, are you in Danville at that point, or are you still
yeah,
in
yeah.
Newport?
No,
Okay.
I'm in Danville.
Okay.
So I've been in Danville since I was like 3 months old. So
Okay. Okay.
I started working in the textile mill, and I've done everything from working in cotton mill to being janitorial services in the cotton mill to there's a bunch of different things that I did. I parked cars at a bingo hall. Like I was doing all kinds of stuff just to make money. um I was working 50,
Grinding.
60 hours just grinding it out, trying to make money. And like I remember being in high school and the vice principal's like, you haven't been to school in like a week, and I'm gonna have to call your mom or whatever. So you can call her if you want to. I was like, but I got my own apartment. Like I have my own house. I have a kid. Like you can call her. She's gonna tell you the exact same thing I'm about to tell you. It's like,
Yeah.
I work second shift for 4 days straight until 2 o'clock in the morning. I just didn't, and I got a newborn. So like, you're like, what? Like you're
Call who you got to
16.
call. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're 17. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm just telling you how it is, man. Like, I'm not upset about it. Like, I understand you got a job to do. And dude just kind of looked at me. Like, he didn't know whether or not to believe me or,
Sure,
if I was
man.
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, call her. Like, go ahead.
And you're still going to school.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So then eventually I ended up dropping out my junior year.
Okay. I was gonna
'Cause
say
I
I
was,
don't know how long you can sustain that if you don't
no,
have support.
no, man. I was, I mean, I had a little bit. Like my dad, he gave me a car. It was like a '73 Monte Carlo. Head gasket was leaking. I ended up seizing that sucker up one night coming home from work. And I was like, man, I can't keep. I was putting like a case of oil in it every couple weeks. I was like, man, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I just ride my bike, which that was like a 4 mile, 5 mile one-way trip to work and back. So,
So you're
but yeah, I
so
mean,
you're working, you're staying in shape.
yeah, right, yeah. PT was good,
PT
but
was on point.
yeah, it was on point. My cardio was spot on. Um, but yeah, that was it's crazy just how fast and how life happens. And like you talk about faith, like you got to have something. You got to have some kind of like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but it's going to work out.
Got to
You know,
make it.
I got nothing. I got like I'm giving everything I got. Like I said, so I dropped out my junior year. Um, I was just working nonstop. Um, Ended up getting my GED. I went to night school, got my GED. I ended up moving to Myrtle Beach for like 2 months. At one point,
Now,
my
were
recruit.
was your you said you had your own apartment, you had your own there was
Yeah,
were you making it work with the baby's mom and you
yeah,
guys were
yeah.
doing
So
this
we were still,
together? Or?
yeah, we were still together at the time, and
Okay.
which was another really crazy situation, right? So, I was 15 when she got pregnant, and she was 20,
Get
maybe
some.
21. Yeah, get some, right? So, if you
Or
look back on,
is it creepy? I don't I'm not sure.
yeah,
I'm not
it's
sure which one.
2026 now, right? So I don't know. It's like, oh, that's horrible. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, now, like, she probably should have went to jail. Like, not gonna lie, but hey, it's not how that went down. And so ended up, we were still living together and making it work and making it happen. Trying to, but she had different priorities and so
Yeah.
it just didn't work out. But yeah, man, that was me to 16, and then by I think 18 that we had 2 kids together. So
Oh, okay. So you
yeah,
keep right on staying together. That's cool.
yeah, and then it kind of went south after that. But you know, um, never got married or anything, so I guess that was a positive. But yeah, so that was my you know childhood, essentially growing up.
Check.
Siblings and single parent home. Um, Very loving grandparents and parents. You know, no issues, just kind of environmental challenges and being where you're at um, and trying to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a grind. That's a hustle
Yeah.
that I don't know about. I do know about Newport News though, so I'm glad you got out of there at 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my dad still lives in Newport News. Actually, he still lives
Really?
in the
Okay.
same house. Yeah, but I mean, it's a decent neighborhood. Like it's a nice, quiet neighborhood. He doesn't live like downtown or
Right, right.
anywhere like some of the other areas. I know what you're talking about though. It's pretty
Man, I was a
sketchy.
boot. I didn't know what I was talking about, and
Oh,
then
so
I
you was in
found
the
out.
shipyard, huh?
I was over in Fast Company at Camp
Yeah.
Allen in the
Yeah.
first, 18 months of my career and
Hmm.
ended up in Newport News in the wrong side of it and didn't go back after that.
No.
Yeah. That's a rough area right there. That whole Hampton Roads, it's got pockets, man, that aren't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You trying to go to Peabody's, huh? You was trying to go to Peabody's and hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
So
off limits establishment.
yeah, I was an instructor at training company in Chesapeake. So I know all about that.
Yeah.
That place is sketchy, but yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, cool. So is that kind of like a catalyst to your service too? Is the situation that is unfolding that we're talking about?
Yeah. So it's weird. My mom, she dated a Marine, and when at some period after her and my dad split, and she used to always talk about this guy. Um, I actually tried to look him up on Facebook one time because like she used to put him on a pedestal, and he treated her well, and
Mm-hmm.
he was not, he was a good dude, in all intents and purposes, as far as I knew. And she always talked about the Marines, being a Marine, and that's the best service to be in, and if you're
Even
doing the military.
your mother would say this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she was telling me as a kid growing up. So like it planted the seed in my mind. It was like,
Sure.
okay, well, if you're going to be in the military, you need to be a Marine because, that's the hardest, that's the best, service branch of service to be in.
Mm.
This guy, Terry Kearns, wherever he's at now. But like, she put Marine Corps on a pedestal. So that was my plan. Like, okay, you talk about like long-term life goal plans. Like that was the one thing that I was like, okay, if I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
my kids will, like, I won't ever have to be worried about being homeless again, about my kids eating, like being
Yeah.
taken care of. Like that was the goal. It just took me a while to get there, because like I said, I dropped out of high school my junior year, and I ended up having to go to night school, and then ended up getting a GED. Um,
Yeah.
so, but
You
yeah, that was
you took the
definitely
long way around, but you got there.
yeah, I did. I
It's
think
wild to me. I gotta cut. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I gotta
no,
say
you're good.
this. It's wild to me. You're like my hundredth, 101 interviews with different people, military related, almost all of them,
Hmm.
and the amount of people that have told me a similar story where it was a single mother household,
Hmm.
and that mother had an interaction with a Marine, and that interaction sold the kid on the Marine Corps later in his
Yeah,
life. It's wild to me.
crazy, ain't it?
It's wild. Yeah, it's
We get
good. It's
dogged
it's
out for
good
being
wild, but
womanizers all the time. It's like, oh man, like we're recruiting right now. Like you don't understand. Like as
yeah,
long as you're not a piece of trash to the lady, then I mean she's always gonna have the thought that hey, Marines are great. Yeah, it's good.
absolutely. Yeah, best service.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
right.
That's cool. All right, pushing forward. So your mother's got this in your head. She had the
Yeah.
interaction with this Marine,
Yep.
and that kind of pushes you when you decide military is the way it's going to go. That pushes you to that service branch.
Yeah, I was in the DEP program for like a year and a half. I was in the DEP program, and then I started doing, like, I never finished school, and moved to Myrtle Beach for like 2 months. And the recruiter called me while I was in Myrtle Beach. I'm like, dude, how'd you get this number? He's like, your mom gave it to me.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, motherfucker. Okay, cool, got it. He's like, man, you got to ship. You're supposed to ship next month. I'm like, dude, I ain't even got my GED. I don't have nothing. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going anywhere. He's like, we need to get you back here so we can get you on track. And it kind of like was the kick in the ass. Like, all right, yeah, he's right. Like, I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
You know, because
Now,
I don't. And I had a plan, but I wasn't executing anything. I
yeah.
wasn't. I wasn't making anything happen. So I'll come back, take up classes, take my GED test. And I remember I got my results in them. I was sleeping on my buddy's couch, um, and I got the results back in the mail. It was December of 2000, and I walked because I didn't have a car, didn't even have a bike at the time. I walked to the recruiter's office and I put it on his desk and I said, "There's my GED results." He's like, "Awesome. When you want to leave?" I said, "Yesterday."
Yeah. Immediately.
He's like, "How's New Year's sound? Like New Year's Day?" I was like, "I'll be there." You know. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a New Year's Eve to remember, right?
Yeah, I bet.
Because yeah, and that the van ride to Paris Island was a blur to say the least. But getting to Paris Island in the wee hours of the morning, still slightly intoxicated or hungover, however you want to look at it,
Mm.
that was a great, you know, indoctrination to the Marine
Hello,
Corps.
hello.
Hello, governor.
Hello, governor. You're
Yeah,
about to have a long day.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for real. But everybody's like, "Oh, what were your first thoughts when you was like, what am I doing?" I already knew what I was doing. I was like, okay, because I made that choice. I could have been like, I'm not. I got to leave at like 3 o'clock. I'm not gonna do anything. No, I raged. I just raged because I was like, it's gonna suck either way.
Yep. Get it in.
Yeah. So, and it
Awesome.
is. That was how that all started. So,
Now, how did you pick your MOS?
So originally I wanted to be a tanker,
Okay.
right? Which now looking back, I'm glad I wasn't. But
Yeah, that kind of went away.
it did, didn't it? So like, all right, you're gonna be combat arms. I was like, so what's that? Tanks, tracks, arty, whatever. So and I was like, all right, so I want to be a tanker. And then like everybody in MCT, they would let you know what your or recruit training, whatever. They let you know what your job was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what is that. And the combat instructor was like, yeah, you're gonna be strong and you're gonna be deaf. I was like, okay, well,
Roger.
yeah, we'll see how that works out. And I went to MOS school. I hated my job. And
Really?
then we got, oh yeah, absolutely. I was like, this sucks. This is horrible. And then we got to live fire, and I saw a 198. They shot it for the first time. I was like,
This is cool.
this is awesome. I was like, that thing just shot a 100-pound projectile like that way, a long ways. I was like, that's badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then from then on out, it was like, okay, it was rough work being a cannoneer on that gun, that 198. That's and anybody who's watching or listening that has ever been around one or had to handle one will tell you. But yeah, that's how I got to be at 0811.
What's the best part of it?
Man, about being an 0811.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a lot. I would say that the actual, if you're in a position to where you can hear radio, like a call for fire or a troops in contact, a tick or something like that, and knowing you're about to
Help them.
help, right? And I did another podcast. The guy he was talking about, and I kind of had to explain this to him too. My last deployment as an artilleryman was Afghanistan in 2009. Matter of fact, we shot for you guys. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because we were at CLSA Bellawood, right outside of Marshall.
Okay. Yep.
And being able to hear guys, and then like, here it comes, like letting my guys on the gun line know, you about to do immediate suppression mission. You about to do this. You about to do that. They go out, get on the guns, and like shooting, one round each gun every minute for 15 minutes, right? You do the math on that. You got 3 guns, converged sheets, which means they all come into one point, or a linear, or an open. I turn a palm grove into a bloody pond, and then hear people call back, for a BDA and be like, I couldn't tell you how many there were for certain,
You
but
killed
there's nobody
everything.
here now. Everybody's decimated, and we're gonna keep pushing.
Yeah.
Glad we could help. I'm gonna go back and start working out again, or doing whatever I was doing. I might clean some weapons, but that was the best part of, to me, it was like those dudes on the ground, needing something, they're in a shit show, and we're about to do what we can do to help them get out of it.
Fuck yeah.
So I think that's the pinnacle of, being a cannoneer right there.
I was kind of hoping you would say that, honestly.
Yeah.
I just don't know how it could get better. Like in any supporting agency, I don't care if you're in a fucking helicopter. You have a guy call you with a 9-line and you know you're going to relieve that pressure. How could it get better than that? Yeah.
And we would see A-10s flying over, like, Cass on, okay, so like we're not shooting today. I'm not bummed about that. I mean, my guys would be like, man, this sucks. And be like, no, let's go to the HESCO and watch them about to do this gun run, because that's badass.
Yeah.
And
if they don't need us,
pop, come down, and and then it's like, that's sweet. I don't care. Like, seeing it live in person, like they're doing God's work right now, and you're getting to watch it. So
I think that was probably some of the coolest things for me. I don't know about for my guys, but like it was almost like ping pong with us in 1-6. It's like we'd fuck them up all day long, and then the next day or two, we're watching south and watching 1-6 hit them, and then they'd be back up to us, And I don't know if it was like that, but that's the way it seemed,
right?
On those 2 battle zones, and we used A-10s a lot. Like there was a lot of times A-10s were coming down, and I talk about it in my book, in Lions of Marja, a bit. I never thought that I would see that. I never thought that I would be on a battlefield where A-10s are diving and doing runs, or where there were machine gun bunkers, no bullshit ones. I never thought I would, and then you're in the middle of it and you're just watching around the battle space. Looks like fucking Call of Duty. And you're like, this is legit. We're really doing all of this. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, it was, I think that was a good, my first deployment was like the awakening of, the invasion, OIF-1. So it was like, and every deployment, I've always been on the turret behind a gun, even as a staff sergeant, all the way, like from corporal to, staff sergeant, every deployment, even as a first sergeant when I was SP MAGTF and we go out to Iraq or any of those other places. I'm like, which one of you are the gunner? You're fired. You're sitting down below me. I'm getting up top.
I'm taking this pig.
They're like, how do you know? I'm like, trust me. Like, one of the only 0811s, probably the only one in history, take this to the bank, that's ever been to machine gun leaders course. And I got a cert.
Right on.
And they were so like upset that I was there. As a matter of fact, it happened when I was at security forces because they sent me because we started doing machine guns. I helped write this machine gun curriculum for security forces actually. So they sent me that course and they didn't want to put 0811 on my grad cert, so they put 0331.
Like, Roger that. Okay. Well, I mean, if you just went through the course, then is that an MOS making school?
No, but it's a follow-on school. So like, and
it's
I
the advanced part.
Yeah, until I got the SOI and was, combat instructor. I was like, okay, but anyways, it didn't matter.
I got you.
Like, they're like, first of all, you know how to like, why are you going like you know how to like, motherfucker, get out of it, get out. I'm like, get out of here. Like, what are you doing? Just move. You have no idea what you're doing. Move. So,
yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, it's that was always I think for me that was a pinnacle, and being able to see, like you said, the things that you only hear about or you see in movies or you see on video games, stuff like that, like shit like that playing out in real life. You're like, this is different.
Yeah, it definitely hits different when you're standing there watching it.
It does. Yeah.
I was taken aback though at how realistic the movies get it. And the video games get it. It's dangerously realistic.
Some of them, yeah. I mean, I don't play video games. I haven't played video games in probably 20 years. But some of the movies, there's one that just came out that I heard people talking about, and they were like, from the beginning, like from the start of the movie throughout, it was like flipping a switch. It was like being right back there. And if they did like the 4D theater, if they had something where like they could pump in smells, I think they would have had a bad fucking time.
Yeah, but that could get rough with smells, buddy. That takes people back right now.
Oh yeah, so
smells is my thing.
That's me.
Like like the insulated wires. If you throw like I've had bonfires at my house even, and there was things that were thrown in there that had that plasticky. Yeah, man. And that'll get you. They say that's because your olfactory bulb is so close to your brain, right up here in your prefrontal cortex, that because that goes there, it's the quickest to get you somewhere, anywhere.
I remember I had been in 2009, and then I went to SP Mag. I went on SP MAGTF in I want to say 17. We went to go see some Marines at the Baghdad Embassy complex, and we had to fly into Baghdad International Airport. And I remember flying in. We came in at night, and I remember when we were flying in, I could smell burning trash, and I immediately was like sweats, and I was like something in me. It was like I just went quiet. My OIC's looking at me. He's like, "First, are you good?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm good. I'm good."
It does that.
Yeah, just like I'm just like this ain't that type of party anymore, but I'm here for it though. I'm gonna tell you, I'm here for it.
It was everywhere. It was Iraq and Afghanistan. Very similar smells, and I think part of it is they don't have trash services in a lot of places that I fought, at least, and it's like so they're burning everything, and so you just get that smog. I remember every time I got off the Freedom Bird back in the States, man, I could tell, and maybe it's not because we have great air. I'm not saying that we have the greatest, freshest air, but I always remember as soon as you step off the plane, it's like I just knew I was home.
Oh,
weird. Yeah.
It's light.
Yeah. It's not as heavy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so tell me wave tops. I don't want to miss any significant things. You talked about Iraq a little bit right there. What about your first two deployments? I mean, your Iraq, I assume the first one,
Yep.
because
OF one.
that was invasion time frame, and
Yep.
your
So
how does that? Yeah, how's that look?
so for us, it was interesting. I was on the 24th MU. We were in a MU deployment. I remember we were on the ship. We'd already got extended once. We ended up getting extended twice, and they said, "Hey, if we hit the Suez before they call us, we're going home. If they call us before we hit the Suez, then we're going in."
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got the call before, and we were going in. 24th MU Task Force Tarawa, like
Yep.
we
Yep.
came in, and it was, you know, it was weird being, brandly newly promoted corporal, um, driving from Kuwaiti Naval Base to Safwan, Iraq, like right there on the
Mm-hmm.
border, and
Mm-hmm.
like a 15-hour convoy, something like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
doing this behind a 50, like this is nuts. Not knowing, like it's unfamiliar to everybody, right? I think there had been like a handful of people in our company first sergeant or battery first sergeant and battery guns were like Desert Storm guys,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but everybody else is like, this is like, you know it's the big game, it's what you train for, but at the same time it's like, what is this going to be like?
Yeah.
What are
What are
we
we
going to
doing?
expect? We had no idea. So that was a kind of a surreal experience in itself. Not a lot of contact, not a lot of you know engagement, a few things here or there, but like um, we took over a village from a town from the Army SF, and for I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, and we were going in and doing some sort of, we were trying to find some mujahideen guys, and we were stacked up outside of the building about to make entry. We had snipers in overwatch position. We had some kid came out on a rooftop, picked up an AK off the roof, and was like peeking over, looking down at us. And I'm the radio operator, so I can hear all this stuff. And so that was Tutu that we were out there
Mm-hmm.
with.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys put one, you know, right through his temple, and then in the stomach, blew out his eyeballs. Got It's a 12-year-old kid, right? So seeing stuff like that, like,
Was he
and
innocent?
I mean, he had an AK in his hand, so
That's what
like,
I'm getting at.
yeah, exactly. Like, but like, still, like watching your corpsman triage,
Sure. Sure. It's
a
not
kid,
cool.
and I got kids, so I'm like how, like that kind of like, if there was any, confusion or misconception about how real and graphic and wicked and evil, you know, war is and what it does to people, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, as somebody who, like, I mean, getting shot at, like, that wasn't the first time that anybody could have like getting like, I think I was like 13 or 14 the first time somebody shot at me, right? But like being in Iraq and like having that type of a threat, and like it's eye opening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's the whole, like, when you're driving down the convoy, you're driving down, about to set your guns into position, or about, like, you have come to the realization, like, there's nothing you can do if something were to happen. Like, you have no control. You have, like, and you need to get past that, because you can't live in a constant state of fear, because it's
Sure.
crippling at that point. So you have to accept,
Your
the
new
things that,
reality.
yeah, exactly, you have to
Mm-hmm.
accept that stuff. And it's definitely, so then subsequently every deployment after that, it's like, that's nothing new to, like,
Yeah.
it's what you accept, and what you believe at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
belief.
having that as your first deployment is probably, well, I think it can go two ways, because I've
Mhm.
seen it go two ways. I've seen guys just be monsters because of it and great at
Yeah.
their job, and they learned the reality of their profession, and they carried on because they could compartmentalize it. And then I seen, like, my boots from Afghanistan, from Marja, that was a really bad deployment. A lot of
Mhm.
them lost friends, very
Yeah.
close friends and roommates.
Right.
They didn't fucking stay in after that. They were
No.
done, and their eyes
Yeah.
changed, and they were done.
Yeah.
And some guys can have that eye change and stay in and still function, and some guys just can't. And so it can go two ways. But for me, my first deployment wasn't like that. And I think another thing that you have, another complication that you have that I never dealt with was kids. I never had kids while I was hitting. You know, I had a woman, but
Right.
I didn't have kids, and that's different. That's a different aspect.
So you know when you go to the VA, right, and you do your mental health
Yeah.
exam, and they
Yeah.
sit there and ask you the questionnaire and all this other shit, right? And this is something like I've like up until that point, like I had put that shit was in the deepest, darkest. So like you talk about having kids, right? So my kids were young, they were
Yeah.
little,
Yeah.
and when we took over that village, we set up in a radio station. It was like a compound, old radio station. They had fence or whatever, but shit was still going on. Like it was pretty kinetic around there, and like we would go do QRF missions, stuff like that, and pick up detainees or whatever. But this lady brought her baby to us and wanted us to take care of like help her child. Well, the child was dead. She didn't realize it. She
Mm-hmm.
had, and like that was, and like seeing that, seeing like the other things, like I'm like, so I started talking about this today, and I was like, I forgot all about that.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, well, tell me about your first deployment. What are some things that, I was like, and like instantly I went there and I was like, yeah, I had kids. Like I had kids that were, and you're right, like, so a lot of people have that, but I guess consider yourself fortunate, unfortunate, however you want to look at it. But
Sure.
like that's a part of a part of that experience that to your point, it sometimes it does irreversible damage or
Yeah.
harm.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and later in Afghanistan, I hit some kids. I mean, not bad shoots, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. They had kids
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
wild things, and
Hmm.
then there was a HIMAR rocket or two that didn't hit its intended target, whatever, and kids died. And I have video of those rockets hitting, and me with a fuck 'em mentality. They shouldn't have been there. Well,
Hmm.
um, after that deployment, I went non-deployable over as a combat instructor at SOI, and I had kids while I was there, and it fucking returned to me. Now, did it debilitate me to a place where I couldn't operate? No, but in my dreams, I saw my kids sometimes on fire instead of those kids, and
Right.
I think that's normal. I think that's your spirit trying to level with some shit. Maybe it's trying to just
Yeah.
tell you that that's not what like we shouldn't be fucking killing each other's kids probably. And I
Yeah.
get that. And I, I'm this is no cry for help. I'm past the stuff, but guys that are hitting right now, just know that that's coming and it's normal. You get
Right.
past it. It's not cool. But your job, there's a lot of things about your job that maybe aren't cool that you didn't think
Yep.
about. So,
Yeah. I mean, the I like I tell people all the time, they're like, well, what's your people use the normal, like normal subjective as fuck,
yeah,
you know, like
normal
what's
depends.
yeah, it all I mean, I guess, what's normal to me, what's normal to you, but absolutely like there's things that and it's okay. That's the real thing, is like it's all right, man, like being confused and being like miserable and being tired and not being like shit happens to a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
All right, it happens to a lot of people. People don't talk about it. People don't say anything about it.
It
Which
happens
is
to
so.
some of the biggest and best, brightest
Oh yeah,
heroes that you can think of.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching the Sean Ryan show podcast, and he had Matt Bissonette on there, and he talked about this specifically. He's the dev group guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, one of my he's like the most emotional, like deepest conversation I've ever had with anybody in the teams. It's like we came back from the Bin Laden mission, and he said I had this one guy tell me. He asked me, he goes, "Hey man, are you sleeping?" He's like, "Fuck no, I'm not sleeping. I haven't slept in days." He's like, "But that might have been the but everybody's going like even dudes at that level, they like you
They're
know
people. They're human still.
yeah yeah
I mean, they're badass. They're badass dudes. Don't
right
get me wrong.
right
Those dudes are
right
bad, but same thing. I've seen the guys interviewed, and you have to shoot a kid one time. I don't care what the kid has in his hand. I don't care. Shoot a
yeah
kid and see what that does to you. Watch your
mm,
buddy shoot a kid. Watch a
yeah
bomb hit a kid. It doesn't matter. Kids are kids, man. They're
yeah
innocent. And I used to tell my guys that, trying to make sense of the things that we've done. And it's like, the shitty part is that those kids were just born at the wrong time in the wrong place.
yeah.
That's it.
So people are like, how can you be a fatalist? like, what do you, like, how can you live like that? I'm like, all right, well, let me explain to you why.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what that kid or those kids could have done differently
Nothing.
with nothing, right?
12 years old and they were the whipping boy and raped for the 10 years of those 12 years, or
Make
8
it
years
make
of those 12
sense.
years. Yeah. Tell me how that works.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
How do you level with that? I mean, I
uh,
get it. You said the fatalist, like in tracking, but like, is that it? You're just like, well, hey, or do you ever think about it on like deeper than that, or you think that's a mistake?
no, but dude, I've been everywhere and anywhere with that thought, with that because you have to be because when you believe something, it either um, you know, consciously or subconsciously gets passed on to your kids, your beliefs, right?
Mm.
Whether you tell them explicitly and implicitly, this this is what I believe and this is what you should believe, or
Mm-hmm.
if you even have that conversation. So I needed to be like sure of myself and say, okay, yeah, this is what I believe and this is why
Mm-hmm.
before I my kids were old enough or got old enough for me to have that conversation with them,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And I had to explain that, and like my son now he's 27, and my oldest, you know, and um, I remember having conversations like that with him and explaining to him, you know, like you understand, like this is where I'm coming from. I don't expect you to have the same, and I hope you don't, because it's kind of it's a very polar way of looking at things. But like making peace and making sense of it um, is a fool's errand, I
Yeah, I
believe,
think so too.
because like perfect example is like I could do something or I could be somewhere and it like it'll just I'll see something, smell something, hear something, and like things just start coming back, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that. I don't want to think about that shit. I don't want to think about, I don't want to feel that feeling. I don't want to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's a reality, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect it. I should expect it, but I don't. Over the years, I've learned not to. I just kind of, I try to be more present.
Mm-hmm.
I try to ground myself a little bit more frequently to try and you know, not stay so much in what the fucked up shit that's happened or that I've done or that I've been a witness to,
Mm-hmm.
and be because I'm surrounded by beautiful little humans every day,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and for me to stare off into space, dwelling on the grueling and gruesome uh, things that these eyes have seen and experienced, you know, it's doing a disservice to them. That's how I have to look at that.
Yeah. Do you ever have trouble feeling the way you know you're supposed to feel?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it feel
I can't level with that.
so that's the thing, right? And then remembering parts of your life or different parts of things that you would think to be significant, right? You
Mm-hmm.
just have no memory. You're like, I don't remember that happening.
Mm-hmm.
But or something will happen and like two or three people around you, full grown adults are like in tears. Like it's a very emotional event or something like that, and you're just kind of like, huh, what I miss? You know, like
What do you
I don't
think
know. I
that
don't.
is? Not so much the memory, but
Yeah,
the
the
lack,
feeling.
the feelings. Yeah, because I'm a very emotional guy, like a very emotionally connected guy, and it got even worse after Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But man, there's times when I know I should have certain feelings,
Hmm.
like good feelings, like towards my kids or towards my loved
Hmm.
ones, and I cannot engage that feeling. And then there's other times where I don't want to have emotions, and it might only be a song or a flag ripple in the wind, and I have all of the feelings. And I
Yeah.
don't know how that, I don't get it. Like, I
I
don't
just
get, is it like yourself saying that you shouldn't be allowed to have those feelings because of what you went through, or is it a disconnection from those feelings due to what you went through? Like, I don't get it.
so I don't think it's so much. I think it's a subconscious thing, right? I think it's a thing that um, if you're not your mind isn't engaged with if your mind is somewhere else, has been somewhere else for a substantial amount of time up to that event happening or that thing
Mm-hmm.
happening or the expected emotional response event,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that will damper or um, probably lessen your emotional response to whatever that significant event is,
That's
right?
probably true.
But if
Yeah.
you're, let's say you're at a concert or something like that, or you have something that demands your attention, your mental and your complete attention for an extended amount of time, then that extended, again, that's subjective too, because if,
Sure.
you could be all over the place, but say 30, 45 minutes, then you've been watching this one thing for this amount of time, and then like this emotional event cues and you have a response. Okay, cool. Now it may not be as severe as everybody else's
Sure.
response, but you still have a similar response, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. But if your focus is fractured up to that significant event, I
All the
think
way
that
leading
plays a
up.
huge.
Yeah.
I think it plays a huge part into whether or not you feeling what would be deemed as appropriate.
Or what you
If that
feel
makes
like you're
sense.
supposed to. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I've been asking a lot of people about that because a guy said, one of my interviewees, he's a Vietnam Marine,
Mhm.
and he said it, and I connected with it. I'm like, that's language to something that I've been dealing with. Like, I cannot sometimes feel the way I feel
Mhm.
like I should feel. That's a lot
Yeah.
of feels, but you get what I'm saying.
I do.
Anyway, so since
Yeah.
he said that, I've been asking just different people that I know have been in similar situations as me if they experience that. So, um,
Right.
moving on. Cool. This is a good conversation. I kind of want to transition now, unless you have anything else
Okay.
from service time, which you very well may, and if you do, we'll hit it now. But if not, I'd like to just kind of talk about um, retirement and post retirement, the way you went out with your command climate, and then kind of flood that into companies and entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and what I'll do kind of like, because there's a lot of, in order to kind of understand why that whole situation affected me the way it did, it's like, so I told you, like, I was security forces, I was an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very pivotal thing that happened while I was there, is that I've found and discovered my love for teaching
Yeah.
and mentoring and coaching, right? Oh, like a bigger level, like publicly speaking and teaching, and like, and it was like I got bit by the bug, right?
Yeah.
So did that for 3 years, come back to the fleet, go to Afghanistan, Okinawa, then go to SOI. So I'm teaching. I volunteered to go to SOI. I was like, I want to teach again. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't get enough. I was like, it's shit that I already know how to do. I'm confident doing it. Like I'm gonna thrive. I want to. Like I'm excited, and I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Um, being around good people, about around people who understand leadership, who understand command climate, who understand
Mm.
how to facilitate growth personally and professionally with everybody that they interact with or they are in charge of leading or worked with. And then from there, I went to Hawaii. I was there for 10 months at 112, but I got selected to be a first sergeant out of Hawaii, went to, Camp Pendleton, 7th Engineer Support Battalion. Again, I'm a new first sergeant. I worked with great people, had a great leadership, great sergeants majors, battalion commanders, company commanders. Went on Special Purpose MAGTF, phenomenal OIC, probably the best job you could ever want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I go to 1st Marine Division Headquarters Battalion. From there, right? So I go from like the high point of me, a major, have a detachment of Marines that are hodgepodge from across the MLG, and we are essentially allowing them to lead and teach, train, mentor their own sections as they see fit with minimal direction and minimal, and like, do your job, do it well, and then tell us how we can help you be successful.
Sure.
End of story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I go to headquarters battalion. Now I'm a first sergeant at headquarters company. So I got all the division staff, and then all the G shops, and it's me and a captain, and we got colonels and master gunnery sergeants, and all these different heads of the G shops at division, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you have the sergeant major and battalion commander who's a '06 colonel. Um, and at the time, Old Terrence Wickham was the sergeant major of the division. So, if that's any indication of kind of how things kind of flowed down, but yeah, so going from a place where you were doing good and you were influencing and you're leading and I'm like, I'm doing all these, like I'm firing on all eight cylinders, like feeling good about what I've done, what I've accomplished, and you go to here and it's just like, I'm not like, I'm still going to conduct business. Like one of my things was you go to a new place and the first thing you do is anyone in a leadership position is you give.
Mm-hmm.
I, hey, what can I do? And you go to meet people where they're at, right? You go to the G shops. I go across the river. I go to their offices. Hey, I'm First Sergeant Wrenn. I'm your new company First Sergeant. This is a little bit about me, is where I came from. Here's my information. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I leave. And I do it multiple times. Hey, what's going on? I just want to come over here and say what's up, like making myself available for these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to understand, like you being in the Marine Corps for a long time, like first sergeants come and go. Like it's like whatever, dude. I'm over here trying, like I'm at a division section, like I'm trying to do stuff, like big
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got time for all that. Like, all right, cool. But over time, people start realizing that you actually meant that shit,
Mm-hmm.
because somebody will come to you and be like, hey, first sergeant, I need help with this. Got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. And
Mm-hmm.
you deliver. And then it happens again. And it happens again. And then you have a reputation for actually being worth a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then
Mm-hmm.
people start looking at you differently and they go, okay, he's a good dude. Like that, like he's that, like, hey, I got a Marine's got a problem. Can you help him? Absolutely. Come on in here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got a Marine's got this. Like, can you do? Yep, come in here. From master guns all the way down to Lance Corporal PFC. Didn't matter who it was. Like they really, oh, got open door policy. Mine kind of went both ways because I would come to your door and I would
Yeah.
open
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna come see you, right? So I'm doing things in my little sphere of influence, but then you have, a sergeant major at the battalion level or at the division level that is constantly doing things that impede the good stuff that you're doing, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's how they address people, how they talk to people, um, the junior Marines, company commanders, the other first sergeants, whoever it was, whoever it may be, and it is created for a very, toxic, tumultuous environment, you know. And in my time there were I was there for a minute. Um, there were two command climate surveys, right? That happened. So you get a new battalion commander who comes in, takes over, and actually, for whatever reason, Sergeant Major wasn't there. So me being the senior dude, I actually had to do the entire change of command slash retirement. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, that a boy, carry on, got it, no worries. So the new commander comes in, command climate survey. The results come out. It's very hush hush, very tight chest,
Mm-hmm.
and all of it was like, Sergeant Major, like she was just is bad,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
being very demeaning, very like nothing good to say. Like Marines would come out of the field for a field op, and she'd get out in front of the Marines and just start fucking ragging on people, like talking about how, I saw people out there with no gloves on driving vehicles, blah blah blah, and like they just come out like that's not the type of shit. Like it's like your lack of emotional intelligence or knowing when to say what you're is completely absent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like one or two instances, like and with no intervention from a commander, it's like, all right, like over time that shit starts to have an effect,
Yep.
and you start seeing shit like legal problems or like disciplinary issues or things like, because it's compounding, right? So then we get a new CG division commander comes in, and he says, all right, across the whole division, command climate survey, and they input specific questions in there per his direction,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to know about leadership and about the people that were in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Those results come out horrendous, horrendous. Like again, the same shit about the same person, you know, over and over and over again. But see, the thing was, is as a first sergeant or a company commander, is like they wouldn't give us, like they didn't want to give us the command climate surveys. Like we
Mm-hmm.
didn't even get to see them. They would keep them at the XO
Sure.
battalion commander sergeant major, but they would talk about it like, hey, XO, did you hear that you were toxic? And they would laugh about it on the command deck. Like, and we would hear this shit. I just
That's
like,
toxic in itself.
right. Like, how are you going to do that?
What?
Like, how, like it was, haha, funny. Like, okay, cool. Got it. So I was like, you know what? Let me just do control F on the share drive and see what I can find. Sure shit. There it was. This is the second one, right? There it was. And then, then they'll say, well, that should have been secured, or that, well, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I had no special permissions, like, because I was investigated, and they said, well, you would have had to request permissions. I was like, I don't even know what that, like, I wouldn't even know where to go to do that. Like, why would I do that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so essentially what happened is I found it on a shared drive, and then there was another first sergeant in the company, not mine. um, I put it in a folder, and then put it in her folder for her company so that she could see, because she had a brand new company commander, you know. um, and I had, mine was a little bit more senior than hers. So I said, you need to know what's going on and what your company is. I mean, if you don't know, there's nothing you can do,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
to fix those issues, or at least to address them. Um, Fast forward a couple weeks, and the ops chief, who, he and I were really good friends. He's a master. He's a master guns now. He comes to my office. He's like, "Hey man, we got a problem." I'm like, why? He's like, he's like, the Marines, like, somebody leaked the command climate survey on the share drive and caught one of the Marines in the S3 reading it. And I'm like, so? I mean, it's not. He's like, that's bad. I'm like, why is it bad? What's so bad about it?
What are we hiding?
Yeah, right. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, but that's not good, man. Like, there's some shit in there that the Marines don't need to be reading. I'm like, that's your opinion. I was like, but when people are saying, hey, look, this is fucked up, and people are pointing fingers going, no, you're fucked up, but
And
they don't
then,
know it. But 100 other people are saying the same shit, but they don't know it because nobody's telling them that
mm-hmm.
these other 100 people said the same shit. Well, now they feel fucked up,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not going to say anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my point is like, if all of you are saying this is fucked up, but yet nobody's doing nothing about it, well, you're not fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you picking up on the same things. So I was
Silence
like,
is
okay,
consent.
and right, yeah, like, I was like, okay, and so then the comm guy, he was the EO, or whoever, the EO, or whoever it was that does the command climate surveys. He comes to my office and he's frantic. He's in comm. Like, I know him, obviously. Like, we've had interactions before, and he's really concerned. Like, he's like, oh, I found the folder, for command climate survey was in, and it says you created it. I said, okay. He's like, well, the battalion commander wants to know. He's gonna want to know. I said, well, don't fucking lie to him. I'm not ever ask you to lie for me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, don't lie to him. Tell him. And if he wants to have a conversation about it, I'm more than willing to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I felt like I wasn't sending it out to everybody. I
Mm-hmm.
put it in a folder, send it to her share drive folder, so she could read it with her company commander. Because I felt like this has happened twice now, and we've been
Nothing's changed.
shut out. Right? I said, well, it wasn't yours to send out. Okay, well, fair enough. It wasn't mine, but I have a responsibility to my company commander and the Marines that I work for and work with, to make sure that they have everything that they need to do. Like, I had no person, I gained nothing personally from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I wasn't doing it just to, there was no malicious intent. It was like, okay, and I got nothing from that.
Yeah.
I mean, I got an investigation.
You got nothing positive from it. Yeah.
No, I didn't. So that happened, right? And then they launched a preliminary investigation, which then turned into a command investigation. And during this time, I'm still kicking it. I'm still doing, my first sergeant gig. And I had a Chief Warrant Officer 3 who was retiring from, I think he was a comm guy. And this is relevant, right? So I'm not like straying off here, but we had a battalion hike that morning of his retirement. And I had given all the information to the sergeant major for signature, award, all this other stuff had been submitted the following Wednesday. So, like, say 10 days, 9 days prior. I need this done for this guy's retirement. So when I go there to make sure everything is executing or whatever. He has everything. Doesn't need to worry about getting an award in the mail or any, shit can't be bush league. I want it to be appropriate, right? Well, none of it was signed. None of it was done, of course, right? So I text the sergeant majors. Nobody's in command deck. Somebody was at a hearing at the brig. Somebody was at a retirement ceremony or a change of command at Recon or whatever. So everybody was gone. I said, listen, we had a guy that was drunk on the hike this morning. I got to do a fit for duty. Nobody's here to sign it. She goes, okay, go get the stamp from the colonel's desk. Stamped as fit for duty shit, right? And I said, all right, so no problems with that. Like and I had text messages, everything to prove it. She's like, yep, go ahead. I do that. I got this award sitting in front of me for a Navy comm. This is a retirement for Chief Warrant Officer 3. He got a Navy comm as a retirement. Okay, we know that's fucked up, right? But anyways, I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna stamp this award right here, so that way he ain't got to worry about nothing, like waiting for something to mail, whether or not he got an award, because that fucks with people, right?
Yeah.
It does. It fucks with people. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the right thing by this guy, Chief Warrant Officer. He was a great dude. He's a great dude still. Fast forward a week, I'm on leave, and I get a text from the XO. It's like, who approved Chief Warrant Officer's, whatever his name. I know his name, but I'm not gonna say it.
Sure.
Who approved his award? I said, what you talking about? Well, I just got it in IAPS, the awards processing system, and he was already presented the award, but now it's coming across my desk. I said, well, I gave it to him. Like, I used the stamp to stamp it because it's not like it's not going to get approved. It's not going to get signed, right? And the only reason why it wasn't is because it was sitting on somebody's desk for a week longer than it should have. The colonel's pissed about it. Okay, again, like, we can have a conversation. Like, I'm not. I had nothing. There was no personal gain for me in that one either, right? But they launched another PI because at this point now, keep in mind, Command Climate Survey results have made it to the CG. And in my investigation for that, there was a staff sergeant who was supposed to execute orders to 5th Marines. She was a logistics Marine. And the sergeant major was like, I'm ripping up your orders because you're listed as someone, a person of interest. She requested mass. So the colonel was like, nope, bullshit. I'm supposed to go. They were scheduled to go on deployment. She's like, I'm not delaying this. This is bullshit. She's like, I'm requesting mass to the colonel. I want to, like, and she did. And in her sitting down with the colonel, the battalion commander, she told him everything from the Command Climate Survey that she put in her Command Climate Survey, and that every other Marines have corroborated and said the same shit, like name calling, fucking lying, basically berating, and specifically female Marines, more like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, but like anywhere from company commanders, lieutenants, OICs, like just talking shit nonstop, like, oh, they're just overpaid PFCs. Like, you could make them do whatever you want, like shit like that. Like, she would say that on the command deck to the OOD or in front of, like, I can't make this shit up, man. Like, and it's all in there. Which now the colonel's like, okay, I gotta do something.
Oh, there's a problem. Yeah.
So he basically says, okay, now there's an investigation on her, sergeant major, and he's got to go tell the general this shit, right? Well, the investigation comes out. I give a statement, a bunch of other, I think there was, let's see here, something like 119 enclosures, 119 statements.
Oh, wow, okay.
From across the division staff, like, so headquarters battalion. There was 13 PAC violations that were substantiated on this sergeant major. 13 PAC, which, prohibited activity and conduct, is what PAC substantiated. But according to the SJA at the time, none of it rose to the level that warranted anything other than an administrative warning. So the sergeant major, in fact, got a non-putative letter of caution, or a NIPLOC. Um, and I got a 6105 and told to services are no longer required. Um, and again, I had nothing to gain from any of this shit.
Did
Um,
they ask others to retire as well or to get out that said anything, or just you?
just me. I requested mass twice to the CG. One time, I request mass to the CG. Went up there. Well, I was supposed to go up there, and the IG said, "Hey, look, you're not coming today because the investigation is still ongoing." I said, "Well, that's funny because they already told me that I was getting 6105 and I was getting fired. So if the investigation is still open, then how the fuck you gonna tell me
What's
this
already
is
been
what's happening?"
decided?
Exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that in my mind already told me like there is no fair, like I'm not getting out of this. Nobody's gonna look at this.
With an even eye. Yeah.
No. So
Yeah.
then, and then that it was like something like 2 months later before I actually got in front of the CG and was like, okay, now I know the investigation's closed because I got told by the battalion XO, because they sent me, matter of fact, here's another key point. They sent me home and said, "You were relieved of your duties as a headquarters company first sergeant. You're no longer to report to work. You will call and check in or be whatever." I sat at home for 3 months, man, waiting for somebody to tell me what the fuck was going on. And nobody ever told me anything until I called and was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, I've been here, like, I had a kid during that time, didn't hear from anybody. Not that I expected to. Um, I had all this shit happening and nobody said anything, right? So I was like, all right, I'm just going to request mass. Like, once I figure out what the timeline is and where the situation is for the investigation, then I'll just request mass and I'll figure it out. And I'll let the CG know. Like, there's no way
Yeah.
that he's privy to all of this, like everything that's taking place. So I finally got my sit down with him, and see, the colonel was smart about it though, battalion commander, because like at that point, it's either you're complicit and you know about it, and you're complicitly, and you're trying to make sure that the shit stays you know close to chest and stays in the shadows,
Mm-hmm.
or you're incompetent because you didn't know and the shit was happening right under your
Yeah, there's
nose,
two
right?
options there.
Right. So you can pick one, right? But none of them's a good look for you. So he
Right.
chose to be, you know, he went full in, double down. I said, yeah, like nothing, like, okay, well, yeah, all this stuff was said multiple times, but I'll take care of it. Because if you fire a sergeant major, you know, well, typically if that person goes down, and guess what? It's
The
going to be a
boss goes
hard look.
down too.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me the 6105 the day before I went to go see the CG. And I told the CG that, I said, "This is exactly how this played out, and this is why." He said, "Get him in here now to sign this so I could counsel him and basically fire him before he goes to talk to the CG."
Mm-hmm.
Because the likelihood of the CG reversing what a 06 level commander
Yep.
has already done is slim to none, heavier on the none side, which
Yep.
is exactly what happened.
Yep.
He sat there, I talked to him for an hour and 45 minutes, man. I told him everything, soup to nuts, right? Um, he was like, "Oh, mm." didn't like didn't flinch, like didn't see anything wrong with any of that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, cool. But like I said, that was and I could have stayed in, I could have fight it, I could have like tried to have my record, done all this stuff, but I have an active duty spouse. My wife is pending orders, and they
How
want her to
much is
come.
that's going to pour onto her? Or...
Yeah, like I'm not, her career progression is being basically um, stalled because of you know me trying to get to one more rank.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not doing that. Fuck no. What I look like, you know. So um, that was basically how I was escorted politely and said, um, that's it.
What does
And
that? I mean, how do you level with that?
dude, I'm still
Because
leveling with that.
yeah, that's probably hard. I mean, a lot of people probably don't, especially if you're not a Marine. I don't care if you're another service branch or not. You don't
Right.
understand the fraternity. You don't understand the love for the organization. That
Yeah.
you are the organization. Like, I am the fucking Marine Corps. Every Marine can stand up and say that. And when you realize that, and then you feel as though maybe that you've been betrayed by this family or by this organization that you gave your entire adult life to, that's tough.
I realized that there were protected groups of people, right? And there are people that, um, case in point, so this the sergeant major, she's best friends with Sergeant Major Tory Black's wife.
Imagine that.
Weird, right?
Imagine that.
And the likelihood of anything happening to her that would, I mean, who's going to do something to her over? I was the problem, and they were effectively, getting rid of the problem. Like, well, let's get, but it does. It's very disheartening, and people still, I see people getting promoted or that. Or like I have another Marine that she was at combat instructor school with me, and she's a first sergeant now, and phenomenal. She's done phenomenal work. Like, she's been a rock star. I mean, first of all, to be at combat instructor school and be an instructor there, you gotta, like, you actually have to be worth a fuck most of the time. So, but she's a first sergeant. She's been in an infantry battalion. She's been at CEB, combat engineer battalion. She's done things outside of what you would normally see someone, a female first sergeant doing, and she's been out there getting it and doing. She's been passed twice for sergeant major. Why? Nobody knows. Nobody knows, right? So once you see behind the curtain and you see the things that certain people,
like backdoor politics being played.
He's a perfect example of that. The dude was the MEF sergeant major, and he had been doing the shit that he got caught doing for decades, for years, until other senior enlisted Marines were like, "Hey, man, you can't talk to me like that. Like, you can't say that type of shit." And they went and alligated, which took huge cojones. Like, you have to be extremely brave to, like, he's the MEF sergeant major. But they're protected people, man. And like, once you decide that you're going to go against, or you're going to say something negative, demeaning, damning, that could be detrimental to their career, well,
you become public enemy number one to them.
Right.
You got to do everything they can to shut you down,
and no matter what the populations, like, all the Marines were like, this is fucked up, like, you're right, like, I'm glad that, come to find, once they found out, like, I was the one that leaked. I didn't leak shit, but I guess I did. But they were like, we just felt glad to know that we weren't the only ones that had the same experiences.
Yeah.
Like, no.
So where's your? Yeah, I'm glad you said that. And anybody that's listening, that if you can't relate to this story, that's awesome. I hope that we have less and less and less people that can relate to this story. And we talked a little bit offline about what they did to Stuart Scheller. It's a Marine, in this case, the same thing with you. A Marine that was doing the right thing to a normal and prudent person, ostracized and punished for doing that very thing. And you're not doing that thing for self-gain. You're doing that thing because Marines in your charge are being fucked with and negatively impacted by one commander or one billet holder in that unit. I think with Stu Scheller, it was probably a couple of different people that did a couple of different bad things, right? That he aired out. But I feel like guys like you or guys like Stu Scheller that have the balls to stand up and say, no, this is not okay. You're not doing that because of your hate for the Marine Corps.
No.
You're doing that because of the love of the Marine Corps, to say, right, I love this organization and this isn't right. And I've been in this long and this isn't right. We know this isn't right. Why is nobody doing anything about it? And you do that so that the Marine Corps can be fixed and can auto-correct, right?
Yeah, that was the thing, is like, once you realize, and people would tell you, if you talk to anybody else at some of the higher levels and you actually get them to talk about it, like, I've talked to one particular senior enlisted Navy Cross recipient, for instance, and he said numerous times that once you see behind the curtain and you understand how the politics work, it's like, it breaks your heart. And it did. It broke my heart, because I was like, man, I'm not like I'm just trying to tell y'all, like she's fucked up, and he's complicit, rightly so, because he's trying to look out for her and she's trying to look out for him. I
Mm-hmm.
get it, but like you guys are fucking up a whole like battalion worth of Marines and making their lives hell, or doing these little things, these little, you know, whatever you want to call it. And nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's saying nothing. Well, guess what, man? I'm, I'll be that guy. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, and people always tell me, like, do you ever regret that decision? Do you ever regret it? I'm like, no, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know at the time it was going to cost me what it cost me. But like, people tell me like, see, you just got to see it, and you got to see what it was really about, and kissing the ring, and being compliant, and keeping your mouth shut and not saying anything when people do fucked up shit. They're like, but that's not in your nature. And I'm like, you're right, it's not in my nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a time and a place, and I tried to capitalize on the time and the place multiple times, and nothing ever happened. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna control what I can here and help
Detonate.
my partisans out. Yeah, you know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yeah, I mean that gets to a point like that. I think for many people it gets to a point. For me, it gets to a point like that. Not just with the not with the Marine Corps
Yeah,
necessarily, but my own life. Like I'm gonna do things man's law. I'm gonna take man's law a couple of times,
yeah,
and if that doesn't work, man, I'm gonna detonate everything around here. You will hear what I'm saying, and I might
yeah.
be wrong, but you're gonna hear my wrong everything I say.
Right.
Um, and I don't like being wrong. And most of the time when it's something like that, I'm not wrong because
Yeah.
I learned in the Marine Corps you can do generally speaking you can do what you want if you're right. You will you will run up against some walls that doesn't matter if you're right.
Mm-hmm. It
And
did. Yeah, it did.
who are you then? That's when your medal shows to me. You still going to
Right.
do what's right or you not?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and
Now,
you did in this situation, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad you did it, and hopefully this will be seen by some of the people who were all fucked up. And I can just tell you, you're fucked up.
that's right.
Um,
No, I know everything happens for a reason too, right? And that it might not have been my plan, but it was God's plan for whatever reason, and it
sure.
allowed me to, it allowed me to do a lot of things that I probably would not have been able or had the opportunity to do. Um, and one of the coaching and working with Jeff Sabins, and you know that the way that happened was it was wild too, how we got reconnected because he and I worked at combat instructor school together.
Okay.
But how that happened. So I understand, like, me homeschooling my kids and being able to stay at home with them, and like all those things happened, um, and that have allowed and facilitated me to have, you know, the opportunities that I've had, and that I have now currently too. So I understand that, but I mean, it's a fucked up way to go, though. You know what I mean?
It's a fucked up way to go. It is after you give your life to an organization and then that happens. I hate that for you. I hate it for all the Marines that it's happened to, and specifically to sergeant majors like that sergeant major in question, man. You know, you could enjoy your career right now, and you will. That sergeant major. Like if I'm talking to you, I say you're going to enjoy your career. You've gotten to some great places, but someday when you're older, you're going to be alone, and you're going to wonder why you're alone, and it's because of the leadership that you didn't have is why you'll be alone. And just think about that. A couple more things before we close out. I know we're running up against the time wall here, but I would like to talk to get your opinion specifically on coaching and then on homeschooling. If we could
Yeah.
just lightly tap both of those, and I'm interested in both.
Okay. So, um, during my transition out of the Marine Corps, I did a lot of things to try and set myself up for success. And one of the things I would do was I would randomly find people on LinkedIn who were Marines, and that I could see what they were doing, and I was like, I could see myself doing what they do. Maybe not as a CEO or owner of a company, right?
Mm.
But I want to do, well, like either consulting or coaching or something like that, like learning, training, development, stuff like that. Because that's like being at SOY was like the most fun I've had, you know, doing stuff in the Marine Corps, teaching, training,
Sure.
mentoring. One of the people that this is it's crazy because I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna hit up CEOs. Like, if you own a business, or if you were the CEO or had C anywhere in your title for this company, I would, you know, hit them up on LinkedIn and be like, hey, can I get like 30 minutes of your time? I just want to pick your brain about some stuff. This is my background. I'm transitioning from the Marine Corps. I'm getting out, and I'm looking to see what I could do to help be more successful or kind of get some things from you. One of the guys I reached out to, his name was J.R. Flatter. He's actually from Fredericksburg, which I'm right outside Fredericksburg right now. So,
Okay.
and he owns Flatter Inc. and Two Roads Leadership, right? Two Roads Leadership predominantly does coaching certification. They do coaching, stuff like that. But he's a prior enlisted, turned major, retired, you know, from the Marine Corps. And this guy, I don't know why he did, but he did. He was like, yeah, sure. And he's on vacation in Florida when he schedules this interview, informational interview, right? And he's FaceTiming, Zoom calling me on the balcony of a motel. And we talked for an hour and a half, right? And I that stuck out in my mind, right? And I was like, okay, so now I'm hooked up with him, and like nothing, I got nothing else from that other than this is what his company does, this has been his experience, and this is what's been helpful for him. Well, I keep running into him, and I keep like looking and reading his stuff and like coaching. Like, how do you get coaching certified? Like, I've been coaching my whole career, rifle range coaching or marksmanship coaching, some sort of coaching. So then when it's time for me to get out, I was like, well, let me hit him up and be like, hey, I'm interested in getting a coaching certification. Like, what can you, when's the next course, or when's it? And he's like, oh, yep, absolutely. He CC's somebody else from his staff, says sign him up for the next coaching, boot camp, one-on-one, whatever it was. And it was like a 3-day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. to like 2 p.m. for 3 days. It was like a grind, right? But I loved every second of it. And from that point on, I was like, I learned so much, and I was like, well, I could do this. Like, I've been doing this. I just didn't have a formal title or certification or whatever, right? So previous to that, Jeff had reached out to me about Proven Valor Professionals, and he's like, hey, I started this company a year ago. Do you want to come in and help me? You can do operations, or you can do whatever. We do coaching, consulting for small business owners, all this stuff. I was like, yeah, man, I don't know anything about being a COO, but you know me, I'm down to grind it out, and I'm gonna help you be successful, and we could be successful. So that's what we did. And then I told him about this, and he's like, that's awesome. So then I started doing, other stuff, marketing and like putting stuff, creating content, and trying to get more clients. But like, I was always pursuing this coaching, like reading books about it, and like Coaching Habit. If you don't have it, I suggest you get it. Great book. It's about that thin. I'll text you. I'll send you the link. But the Coaching Habit is a great book. And J.R. Flatter, he references it a lot. But it gave me the opportunity to coach other people that were going through the coaching course through Two Roads of Leadership, and other people in the veteran community, whether they were transitioning out of the military, all branches, right? Or people that I would just meet, local business owners, because at the time I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, so I would go out and try and do a little bit of networking here or there, or like meet people whenever I could. It just, like, how can I help you? Like, same thing that I did as a first one. I was like, well, pleasure to meet you. I'm glad you took time. You took me up on my invite. What can I do to help you be successful? And everybody's kind of like, same thing. They're kind of like, oh man, like, are you trying to hustle me? You trying to, like, no man, like, I'm a retired Marine. Like, I have this business. I have a business. Like, I just enjoy helping people. And people are like, okay, you don't want nothing. I'm like, no. I mean, I was getting coaching hours, but like, I mean, I wouldn't get paid nothing. And I was okay with that, because it was like a couple hours a week, and then it became more and more. And JR would hit us up and be like, hey, we got a thing going on. Like, if you want to sign up to be a coach for these people, put your name next to them. And I would just sign up for all kinds of people. And I had like 4, 5, 6 coaching sessions a week. And I loved it. I enjoyed it, like, anywhere. Like, hey, where you at? All right, cool. You want to jump on a call? Yep, let's do it.
Yep.
What do you got going on?
Yep.
And how to coach, and how to ask questions, what types of questions to ask. Those were the things that I learned. And it when you do it, because you're not really telling people and giving people answers when you're coaching, because you don't want to be a therapist, but like, there's a way to go about doing that that help people uncover and discover
It's
their
like
own solutions.
helping them uncover their own solution. Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's a fact. Yep.
Yep.
I think that's what's been that's my most successful route as well. It's
Mhm.
almost like the what about this or have you thought about this
Yeah.
mentality, right? Or
Yeah.
style. Yeah, I like that. Cool.
Whatever questions I would ask, because you know they would grade us. They would sit and watch us. Go through this peer coaching sessions, staying away from the yes or no answer
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff is why is this? Why do you say that? What makes you think that? You know, it's and the coaching habit's really great about it. It kind of lays out those types of questions to ask. Um, um, and how to go about asking them. And you can see yourself once you do it, right? And being comfortable with that uncomfortable pause when nobody
Mm-hmm.
says anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I love that. Like and I would tell coaching clients, I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here, right?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay.
A lot of times well, we can talk about it offline, but
Yeah.
a lot of times that's what I find is they're in their own way.
Yeah.
Most people,
Yep.
discipline and proper priorities. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
Right on. Last thing, man. Homeschooling. Why'd you
Yep.
do it? Are you going to continue to do it? And the impact that it's had on you and your children.
So great. Before we moved to Fredericksburg up here, because my wife works at CDNI,
Mm-hmm.
she's a mass sergeant. Before we PCSed up here, we were both in Camp Lejeune. I was working at Marsoc doing the train the trainer type stuff for them. And we were spending like 20 grand in childcare a year,
Mm-hmm.
right, at the CDC on base.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been teaching, I got a degree, but I've been teaching.
You have like a lot of kids too, though, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have five now,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
just
That's
had
a
my
lot.
son on the fourth. So, but I've been teaching almost my whole career, but in some way, shape, or form, like an instructor. So it's like, and I love learning methodologies and I love teaching.
Sure.
So, when I talked about it and said, well, what about homeschooling? Like, you just don't get a job, you just stay at home and you can homeschool our 7-year old, which was a first grader in our pre-K, you know, 4-year old. Um, or, she's in second grade now, my 7-year old is. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get curriculum and try it out. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man, it was rough starting
Yeah.
out because I was like, I don't know, like trying to do them both at the same time and like distracting and like it's a lot of pressure, right? And it's a lot, but it all comes down to like trying stuff out and figuring it out and figuring out what doesn't work and what works. Um, but the beautiful thing about it is like there's so many different curriculum options out there. You can get it all in one, and it comes with like a whole class schedule and tells you what to teach every day, what pay. Like, it's almost foolproof, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can piecemeal stuff from different places, which we did that this year a little bit. But I like it in the sense that I have a lot of freedom to teach the type of things that I want to teach.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other challenges that come along with that, with like not knowing whether or not you were sufficient in
Mm-hmm.
in what they are learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not really, and depending on what state you're in, like they're not taking standardized tests up until like third grade. So once you get in the
Mm-hmm.
third grade, then you start taking standardized tests. But then, really, if you think about it, knowing what we know about the education system, what's a standardized test really telling you? So that's a whole different. That's a topic for another show, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but when you question your kids about certain things and you hear them mention stuff, it's like that's the confirmation that I've been able to get
Yeah.
periodically. It's like hear them say stuff that I've taught, and then having the confidence in myself, like, yeah, I can teach Marines all day long. I can do that shit in my sleep. Like, it's fun. I enjoy it. I get in the flow state. But teaching language arts to a second grader, you're like, that don't sound too hard, man. But like, trust me.
Mentally fatiguing.
Yeah, you want to talk
Yeah.
about pronouns and adjectives and all
Oh
this
yeah.
shit to a second grader who wants to go outside and play, and like, I just need you to like work with me here, right? And
Yeah.
and this is your kid. This ain't somebody else's kid. So like the familiarity is there. It's like they just crying like I'm not doing it, and you're like, okay, well, you know what I mean? Like, so and then am I gonna keep doing it? Yeah, I'm probably gonna keep doing it for the foreseeable future because I just now knowing what I know about the education system, how it was designed, the things that and nothing against anybody who doesn't do it. Like, right? First thing I like to like, I don't judge you. I grew up in public schools.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
As did
I
I.
got a good GED, right? But I also know that, my kids aren't being exposed to things that I wouldn't want them to learn about or to know about or being taught, and they're also not being exposed to other people's kids who don't know how to act and don't have any home training, and
Mm-hmm.
come home acting like you know delinquents. And I'm just like, now I gotta break you of that, because whoever at in your classroom thought that that was funny or that was a good, like, I don't have to deal with that bullshit. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's definitely beneficial.
Hell
But
yeah.
it's a challenge, man. It ain't for the faint of heart.
It's a
And there's
grind, huh?
co-ops and stuff like that. Like, families will get together and like take turns teaching certain classes on
Mm-hmm.
certain days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do any of that. Like, I haven't got into that. I haven't looked up any of that, just because, I mean, I have two. And then when my wife goes back to work, you know, we'll I'll bring in somebody like a nanny or whatever to come and sit for, like, with the kid, the little ones, for like 3 or 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. And then I can do homeschool in the morning from like 8:30 to 11:30. After that, I do nap time. The nanny leaves, nap time, lunches, and the rest of the day is ours, man. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I for little kids, that's really all the time I need. It's all
Yeah.
first, second, third grade type stuff. So,
Yeah, that's
uh,
cool. That's cool. Now, what about Proven Valor Solutions? Are you still rocking on that, or?
I shut that down last year,
Okay.
but just because I had to kind of shift my focus on you know I didn't have enough hours in the day, and the whole thing of I have one client, actually I have two that I still kind of do stuff for here and there. Um, but it's very, like, I didn't have time to constantly be doing, audits, or, doing products, creating products, or helping people, doing consulting calls and stuff like that, just because, I mean, I'm here with my kids, like, I'm taking care of my kids. So,
Yeah.
um, that, that was, yes. Can I make money doing it? Yeah, I could make money doing it. But at the end of the day, like, what I'm doing with my kids, and being here for them every single day, and teaching them, and I don't have distractions like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fortunate not to have that, and but not to say that I didn't enjoy the work that I did. I loved it. But I also understand that, like, I'm playing a huge part in my kid's life, a part that not a lot of people get to play, as far as how much time and how much influence and
Mm-hmm.
connection. So, I'm trying to be present with that, and take advantage of that while I have it, because they grow up fast. So,
Oh, that's the truth. Fuck yeah. Aubrey. Aubrey Wrenn.
yeah, man,
Depending on if you're government title or you're not government title there.
that's right.
Hey man, I've learned a lot today, and I appreciate you being transparent and coming on and talking about some of that stuff that's probably, not very fun to talk about, as far as the command climate survey, and having, an institution that you love almost feelingly or seemingly, even though it was one person and not an institution, or two people and not an institution, it was two people high enough to speak for an institution.
Hmm.
And that is the things directly that I want to combat in the Marine Corps. And I don't really give a shit about the other services. Don't get me wrong. I want them to be good too, but I'm not emotionally or spiritually connected to those.
Yeah,
This one I am, and every Marine since I've gotten out, if I hear that they're hurt or they need help, I feel that, and I'm sure
right.
you too. So
Yeah,
that's the connection I think that Marines have to their Corps. And it's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you being the person that you are, man. And I'd love to stay in touch, and in any way that we can help each other out through either network or, work in the future. Anything that I can do for you, or that can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to ask.
awesome, man. Thank you. Same to you. I'm here. I'll keep liking, sharing your stuff too, just to get the
Appreciate
word
that,
out.
man.
So,
Appreciate that. Yeah,
I'm
man.
here for it.
I'll get this one out there. For now, guys, this choice is not chances. We appreciate you hanging on. And Aubrey Wrenn, retired first sergeant, Marine Corps, kind of putting it down out there for us today, a little bit different than what we've heard before. So if there's anything that you guys seen in this episode that you like, or you think you need to share, or that can help somebody else, please don't be selfish with the information and share it out. Also, coming into this 2026 year, guys, if you have not followed the show or subscribed to the show, it does wonders for us to get this out to a bigger loop of people. So it takes very little for you just to hit that show. I'm not going to hit you with subscriptions and money and details. It's not going to be like that. You'll just be notified when a new show comes out so that we can together share it out and make a positive impact. So Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, follow, subscribe, like, share, put it out there, and we'll grow together. Till next time, choices, not chances.